If you're a man over 60 and your erections have become weak, unpredictable, or completely absent, I want you to listen very carefully, because I've seen proud, capable men, retired pilots, former athletes, lifelong husbands lose their confidence, not because of age, but because of something they were eating every single day thinking it was healthy. I'm Dr. Mohit Kara, a specialist in men's health with over 30 years of clinical experience helping men reclaim their vitality, restore natural erections, and feel like themselves again without dangerous medications or invasive procedures. Today, I'm going to show you something most doctors never mention. Not all nuts are safe for men with erectile dysfunction. In fact, some can quietly raise your creatinine, stiffen your arteries, and block blood flow right where you need it most. But the good news is there are 3 other nuts. Yes, simple natural foods that can help lower inflammation, support kidney health, and improve circulation to the pelvic region. In this video, I'll reveal exactly which 3 nuts you must avoid and which 3 you can safely eat to protect your blood vessels, boost energy, and revive your performance. And stay with me until the end, because I'll also share a surprisingly simple daily habit, just 10 minutes, that helps lower creatinine and enhance sexual health naturally. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another video designed to help you improve circulation, protect your kidneys, and restore natural performance after 60. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 and let me know how I can better support your health journey. Let's start with the 3 nuts you need to avoid, because while they may look harmless, even healthy on the surface, they can silently raise your creatinine, stress your kidneys, and choke off the blood flow that's essential for strong, natural erections. These are the ones I always warn my patients about first. Almonds. 1. Almonds. The healthy nut that backfires. Now, I know this one might surprise you, because almonds have built quite the reputation. They're on every grocery shelf labeled as heart-healthy, packed into protein bars, almond butter, almond milk, even gluten-free flours. I've had dozens of patients come into my clinic over the years proudly telling me they've switched to almonds as their go-to snack because they thought they were making a smarter, cleaner choice. But here's the truth that rarely gets talked about. If you're a man over 60, dealing with high creatinine or any sign of kidney decline, almonds can quietly work against you. They're extremely high in phosphorus, about 137 milligrams per ounce. And while that number might not mean much at first glance for kidneys that aren't filtering well, it's a heavy load. Excess phosphorus builds up in the bloodstream, pulling calcium from your bones and triggering vascular calcification, meaning your blood vessels start to stiffen and harden. And if your arteries are stiff, especially the ones leading to the pelvic region, erections simply don't happen the way they should. But it doesn't stop there. Almonds are also high in oxalates, compounds that bind with calcium and form kidney stones, especially the calcium oxalate type, which is the most common. I once had a patient in his late 60s, generally healthy but struggling with fatigue and low libido. We ran labs. His creatinine was up, and when we reviewed his diet, I found he was using almond flour almost daily for baking. That small switch, one he thought was good, was likely pushing his kidneys over the edge. What makes it worse is that almond-based products like almond milk or snack bars often contain added phosphates and potassium preservatives. These sneak into your system faster than you realize and are especially hard for weakened kidneys to filter. So while almonds may look innocent on the shelf, for many older men they're anything but. And if almonds are the stealth attacker, the next nut is the sugar-coated trap. That's even more deceptive, especially during the holidays. Let's talk about it. 2. Chestnuts. The hidden sugar. Chestnuts. Bomb. Chestnuts are the kind of food that brings back warm memories. Holiday dinners, crackling fires, maybe even singing chestnuts roasting on an open fire. They feel nostalgic, comforting, safe. I've had older patients tell me, "Doc, I don't eat junk food, just a few chestnuts here and there." And I understand that they're soft, slightly sweet and low in fat, which gives them the illusion of being healthy. But under the surface, chestnuts are quietly working against your kidneys and your erections. What most people don't realize is that chestnuts are extremely high in potassium. Just 100 g contain nearly 500 mg of it. For men with healthy kidney function, that might not be a problem. But if your creatinine is elevated or your kidneys are starting to slow down, your body can't flush out potassium efficiently. It begins to build up in the bloodstream. And too much potassium doesn't just stress your kidneys. It interferes with nerve signals, weakens your muscles, and in extreme cases can even trigger dangerous heart rhythms. And here's where it affects sexual health. High potassium levels and poor kidney function go hand in hand with sluggish blood flow. When blood can't move freely, especially through the tiny arteries that supply the pelvic region, erections become weaker, slower, or don't happen at all. Add to that the fact that chestnuts are also high in carbohydrates and have a high glycemic index, which means they spike your blood sugar quickly, and you've got a double threat. For men already dealing with insulin resistance or borderline diabetes, it's like throwing gasoline on a smoldering fire. I remember one man in his 70s who told me chestnuts were his guilt-free snack. But his blood sugar kept creeping up. His creatinine climbed, and his blood pressure wouldn't stabilize. When we finally looked deeper, we found chestnuts roasted, salted, even glazed with sugar had become a regular habit. What felt harmless was silently accelerating his decline. The worst part, most people think they're making a better choice simply because chestnuts aren't greasy or salty. But blood sugar and mineral balance matter far more when it comes to kidney health and sexual performance. And if chestnuts are the sweet deceiver, the next nut is the creamy imposter. Rich in taste, yes, but loaded with hidden dangers you definitely don't want in your system. Let's take a closer look. 3. Cashews. The creamy cashews deceiver. Cashews are tricky. They taste so smooth, so rich, so satisfying. It's easy to think they must be doing something good for you. I can't tell you how many men have sat across from me and said, "Doc, I've cut back on sugar. I don't eat fast food. I just snack on a few cashews here and there." And I get it. They feel like a smart alternative. But the truth is, cashews can quietly do more damage than you'd ever expect, especially if your kidneys are already under stress. Just 1 ounce of cashews contains nearly 170 mg of phosphorus and close to 190 milligrams of potassium. For a man with high creatinine, that's a heavy burden to put on kidneys that are already working overtime. When your kidneys can't clear these minerals efficiently, they accumulate, and that triggers inflammation, blood pressure spikes, and vascular stiffness. All of that makes it harder for blood to flow freely, especially to the areas where it matters most for intimacy. And the story doesn't end there. Cashews are often hidden in processed foods, snack bars, dairy-free creamers, trail mixes, plant-based sauces. What many don't realize is that these products are often loaded with preservatives and phosphate additives that aren't clearly labeled. One of my patients, a man in his late 60s, was adding cashew-based vegan cheese to his meals, thinking it was healthier than dairy. His creatinine was slowly rising, his blood pressure was climbing, and his energy was fading. When we finally looked at the label, we saw exactly what was dragging him down: sodium potassium chloride phosphate, stabilizers, all quietly damaging his system. Even fresh cashews spoil quickly. Their fat content makes them prone to oxidation, especially when stored at room temperature. Rancid fats don't just taste off. They promote oxidative stress, and your kidneys, already inflamed, simply can't keep up. Cashews may be creamy, but that comfort comes at a cost, especially for men trying to protect their performance, energy, and kidney function after 60. They're a nut that needs to stay off the plate. But now that we've covered the ones doing silent harm, let's shift focus, because there are 3 nuts that can actually help you heal. These are the ones I personally recommend to my patients, and what they do for your blood flow and erections might surprise you. Walnuts. 1. Walnuts. The anti-inflammatory powerhouse. When most people think of walnuts, they picture brain food or maybe something sprinkled over a salad. But very few realize just how powerful walnuts can be for men dealing with erectile issues, circulation problems, and high creatinine. I've had patients in their 60s and 70s come to me worn down, tired, and quietly frustrated. They didn't want medications. They just wanted to feel like themselves again. And sometimes the answer started with something as simple as a handful of walnuts. You see, walnuts are rich in a plant-based omega-3 fat called ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. Just 1 ounce, or about 14 halves, gives you around 2.5 g of this powerful anti-inflammatory compound. Inflammation is one of the root causes of declining kidney function and vascular damage. When the tiny blood vessels in your kidneys or your pelvic region become inflamed, filtration slows, blood flow weakens, and the ability to maintain an erection fades. ALA helps to soothe that fire. It calms your vessels. It gives your body a chance to restore circulation to the places that need it most. What makes walnuts even more kidney-friendly is their mineral profile. Compared to other nuts, they're relatively low in both phosphorus and potassium, 2 minerals that stressed kidneys struggle to clear. That means you get the benefits without overloading your system. Plus, they contain fiber and a modest amount of protein, which supports muscle maintenance without putting added strain on your renal system. One of my favorite things to recommend is blending raw walnuts into a homemade nut butter. No sugar, no additives, just a dash of cinnamon. It's satisfying, nourishing, and easy on the body. I've seen men regain energy, notice firmer morning erections, and even experience more stable blood pressure simply from adding this one small food into their routine. But walnuts are just the beginning, because the next nut on our list has one of the lowest mineral loads of any commonly eaten nut, and it's so rich and buttery, you'll barely believe it's good for you. Let's talk about it. 2. Macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts. The renal-friendly fat source. Macadamia nuts don't get much attention. They're not as trendy as almonds or as common as peanuts. But for men over 60, especially those managing high creatinine or struggling with energy and performance, macadamia are a hidden gem. I remember one patient, a retired carpenter in his early 70s, who told me, "Doc, I don't eat much anymore. Just a few macadamia now and then makes me feel like I'm treating myself." What he didn't realize was that those few nuts were actually doing him a world of good. Macadamias are incredibly low in phosphorus, just around 53 milligrams per ounce, and also low in potassium, making them ideal for men with compromised kidney function. That means they won't place an extra burden on filtration, which is critical when creatinine is creeping up. But what really sets macadamia apart is a rare fat they contain called palmitoleic acid, a monounsaturated fat that's been linked to reduced inflammation and improved insulin sensitivity. And that's a big deal, because insulin resistance and blood Sugar spikes are major contributors to both erectile dysfunction and kidney damage. These nuts are also calorie-dense, but in a good way. Just 5 or 6 can leave you feeling satisfied without the urge to snack endlessly. That's especially important for men trying to manage their weight, blood pressure, or blood sugar, all of which play into circulation and hormone balance. I often recommend tossing a few into a morning smoothie or blending them into a homemade pesto with basil, garlic, and olive oil. It's a small act that delivers big rewards over time. But be careful. Macadamia go rancid faster than you'd expect. Keep them cold, store them properly, and avoid the honey-roasted versions that are loaded with sugar and salt. When kept pure and simple, they're one of the most kidney-friendly hormone-supportive foods you can choose. Still, as powerful as macadamia are, there's one more nut worth knowing. It's colorful, crunchy, and when eaten in the right amount, can do surprising things for your circulation and nitric oxide levels. Let's take a closer look. 3. Pistachios. Pistachios. The circulation-friendly snack in moderation. There's something comforting about cracking open pistachios. Maybe it's the rhythm. Maybe it's the memory of sharing them during family gatherings. But beyond the shell, these little green gems can offer real support for men over 60 who are trying to restore circulation, manage creatinine, and feel stronger in their bodies again. I've had patients who were afraid to eat any nuts at all after being warned about phosphorus or potassium. And I get it. The confusion can be overwhelming, but pistachios, when eaten in moderation, deserve a spot on your plate. They do contain more potassium than the other 2 nuts we've talked about, roughly 290 milligrams per ounce, and about 137 mg of phosphorus, so portion control is critical here. But when you keep your serving to around 10 to 15 pieces a day, pistachios can actually enhance blood flow in meaningful ways. They're rich in antioxidants, vitamin B6, and most importantly, they help support nitric oxide levels. And nitric oxide is the chemical signal that tells your blood vessels to relax and expand. Absolutely essential for achieving and maintaining an erection. One patient of mine, a former high school football coach in his mid-60s, told me he had stopped eating pistachios entirely out of fear. But after reviewing his labs and seeing his levels were manageable, we reintroduced them. Just a small handful a day. A few weeks later, he came back with a smile. His energy had improved. Blood pressure was more stable. And yes, his performance had quietly returned too. For men with kidney issues, I always suggest choosing pistachios in the shell. It slows you down, makes you more mindful, and helps prevent over snacking. Skip the salted or flavored versions. Go for raw or dry roasted if possible, and pair them with water. Rich vegetables like cucumbers or celery to help balance the mineral load. Now that you know which 3 nuts can safely support your energy, blood flow, and kidney health, let's tie it all together, because I've got one daily habit to share that's even more powerful than food. And it takes less than 10 minutes a day to start seeing the difference. Conclusion. Small changes, powerful results. So let's bring it all together. 3. Nuts to avoid. Almonds, chestnuts, and cashews. They may seem harmless, even healthy, but they quietly burden your kidneys, spike your mineral levels, and restrict the blood flow that keeps you feeling alive and connected. And then we have the 3 nuts you can safely enjoy: walnuts, macadamia, and pistachios. They support circulation, reduce inflammation, and give your body the nutrients it needs without overloading your system. I've seen this shift, this simple, conscious change in what a man puts on his plate make all the difference. Not just in lab numbers or blood pressure, but in confidence, energy, and that quiet sense of, I've still got it. 1. Man in his late 60s told me after cutting out the wrong nuts and adding in the right ones, he woke up with firmer morning erections for the first time in over a year. No medication, no surgery, just food that actually worked with his body instead of against it. And while nutrition is powerful, there's one more thing I ask my patients to do every day. Walk. Just 10 minutes outside. If you can, followed by a few deep breaths. It helps oxygenate your kidneys, reduce stress, and send blood back to the parts of you that matter most. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight, but with the right foods and a few consistent habits, you can absolutely feel stronger, more alive, and more in control than you have in years. And if no one's told you this in a while, your best days are not behind you. They're still ahead. If this video helped you understand your body better, gave you hope, or simply made you feel seen, please take a moment to like this video. It tells YouTube this is content that matters, and it helps reach other men who might be struggling silently just like you once were. Share it with a friend, a brother, or anyone who could benefit from real, practical health advice made for men over 60. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What was the most surprising thing you learned today? What changes are you planning to make? Your voice helps shape the next videos we create. And if you'd like to support this mission and help us keep making free doctor content for the community, consider donating through the link in the description. Every bit helps. You're not just watching, you're part of a growing movement to take back health naturally and powerfully.